each treatment, like how many adverse events are occurred after the doxycycline, how many of them occurred after giving test, how many after reference, and what was the total count. Then we'll also do count for each system organ class. So we'll do it for each system organ class separately, and then their individual preferred terms. So this will be our table today. For that, we'll be using dataset called ADAE. So ADAE is created from our AE dataset, but it includes treatment groups. In AE, we don't have any treatment groups, right? Like ADSL, we'll create this dataset. So these all variables are coming from our AE, AE-seq, site ID, subject ID, all this coming from AE. All these adverse events, terms, decodes, system organic class, all these are also coming from our SDTM AE dataset. AE bots is low level term code, preferred term code. So here we are creating these two new variables from AE start date. We have AE STDTC in SDTM. From that we are creating AE start date and time, separate variables for date and time. Similarly, we are creating separate date and time for end date also. Then we are calculating the number of days from initial treatment start date, after how many days the adverse event occurred, or how many days before the adverse event has occurred. We'll calculate this by comparing with reference start date. Even AE end date is also created by using reference start date. This is created based on individual period. I will say you how to do that. And these are the treatment periods. If it is 1, it is doxycycline. If it is 2, if it is reference or test, whatever it is, same thing for 3. Here we are considering 2 as, what is 2? Test. 1 will be doxycycline, 2 will be test, and 3 will be reference. Treatment emergent flag, which we created in AE. We created this in SUP AE, but we remerged it to ADAM AE. AE seriousness, severity, these all are coming from AE dataset. AE out. See, 1 is doxycycline, 2 is test, 3 will be reference. If you see here, 1 is doxycycline, 2 is test, 3 is reference. You don't need these two variables for now for our table. What do we need to do? We need to do first total number of AEs. What do we do to get this one? We have this data set. So I want my adverse events based on their total count of adverse events for each treatment. What do I do for that? If I want to find the number of subjects with any adverse events, what variable will I use? What variable will I be using? These are the variables we have. What variable we'll be using for getting this first line? Number of subjects with any AEs. Any one of you?
Subject yeah, with subject ID and the other adverse event column, we will do freak to find out how many, like each subject ID, how many
I don't need it. I don't need it based on subject ID. I need it only based on treatment, right? Here we are not showing
The oxygen will be the variable.
what variable we'll be using.
It's this. TRTAN. What's that?
Yes, correct, Anjali. We'll be doing freak for TRTAN. So if I do freak for this variable, if I do freak for this variable, what will happen? I will get how many number of references, how many number of tests, and how many number of dog suggestion. So we'll get count. So we'll get first line. But before that, we need to make sure that we need to report one adverse event only once, right? Because if you see AE term, this belongs to same subject and it has two headaches. That is because it might have different date. But here we have, what does it say? Number of subjects with any adverse events. Let's see how we'll report that in our table program. So first we'll take Adam AE dataset, and why we are taking AE treatment emergent flag is equal to Y, because our title says report only treatment emergent adverse events by system organ class and preferred term, and also safety population subjects. We need to take only subject with safety population and also subjects with treatment emergent flag. What is a treatment emergent flag? We already discussed in when we are discussing SDTM AE. What is treatment emergent flag?
One dosage is given, then it will be yes. No, it will be safety flag, right?
Yeah, you're talking about safety flag. I'm asking about treatment emergent flag. We discussed so much about this flag when we are creating AE.
Sir, I'm not.
Anyone in the class? What is treatment emergent flag? Okay, go to your AE class and try to find out. Okay, so here we are outputting and creating a new record called total with treatment 4. So currently we have only 3 treatments. I want to create one more treatment called total. Here we have only 1, 2, and 3. I'm creating one more treatment total because I want to print the total count. So I'm creating duplicate records. In my current data set, how many records do I have? 29. So these records will be double. So first what I'm doing, I'm outputting this data set with treatment emergent flag is equal to Y. Then I'm adding an extra record for each record. If I run this,
Sir, why extra record? I didn't
we,
got you.
we need to create total count, right? Now I got 58 records. Each record is printed twice. But if you see the treatment column assigned to it is 4.
Sir, but it should be, if it's twice, it should be 48, not 58, right?
Yeah, 29 times twice is 58, right?
29, 24 subjects, right?
Now, this is not 24 subjects, 29
Oh,
records, 29
okay,
adverse events. So
okay.
we are creating a new treatment called total for each record. So for this, a duplicate record is created. For this, a duplicate record is created. For this, a duplicate record is created. to print this last column,
Okay.
we are doing that.
So do you have the video for AE?
I already sent to you.
Like,
No,
sir,
we
I
don't
didn't
have.
got it.
Yeah, we don't have
No,
for
did
AE.
get the A for the A.
Yeah,
I think we haven't recorded that day. I had some laptop issue that day.
Yeah, I remember I
Yeah,
asked for the recording and you said
yeah,
didn't.
I'm little confused about that and the sub why are we making all those things?
Sir, I'm still not understanding about this total function. I didn't know what fancy double.
We worked on base as class with the output statement, right? We are,
Yeah.
yeah, same thing. It create a duplicate record, and you'll know why I'm creating that once we go to the next step.
Okay.
So I'm using no dup key for use subject ID and treatment because I want to delete any extra records. I mean, let's say, let us take ADA first. Here I have two treatments. Two of them are test, but both of them belong to same subject ID. So if someone asks you how many adverse events are here for subject number 3 with different treatments, we'll be counting it only twice, right? Because one is treatment 3, the other is treatment 2. We won't count test as 2 times. I want to delete this extra record here
So why is coming 2 times?
But
because there are two different dates, but we won't count it as two different adverse events, right? There
but
is
the event is also different. One for the headache and other one is for
no,
something.
but we are counting based on the subject now, based on the subject and treatment.
Okay.
With any adverse events only counts each subject ID has how many adverse events belong to one treatment. So we are using no-dup key and we are outputting the data set. Now again records get changed. Previously we have 58, now we got only 32. So now I am doing freak for this. What is my output data set? AAF. So how many number of treatments do I have with doxycycline? How many adverse events are occurred when I'm using doxycycline? For how many with reference? For how many with test? 10. How many total? 14. YT is again 14, YT is not 18 because here some same subject might have an adverse event in reference, right? Then we'll
Yeah.
not count the total twice again. Let's say an adverse event has caused to subject for doxycycline and also an adverse event occurred for reference. Then we'll count it only once in the total. Let's go to paint. So here I got doxycycline, test, reference, and total. Let's say I have here 4, 4, and 10. Why my sum is not equal to 18? Because if let's say there is subject number 1, 2, 3, and 4, here also there is subject number 4, 5, 6, and 7. This subject has occurred in both the places, right? We'll count it as only once when we are counting the total. If there is subject number here again 7, we'll count only as once. We won't count it as twice. So in that way, the total will be 14. So this is the first line for the table. This will be the
Sir,
first line of the table. Yes, go ahead.
sir, but if we count 3, 3, and 9, still it will be 15, right? Then why it is 14?
That,
If we
that's That's what I'm saying. If it is same subject ID, it won't take it twice, because here we are only doing freak for treatment. We are not doing based on, while doing no loop key, we are doing based on subject ID and treatment. But when we are doing treatment, we are doing it only based on treatment. So let's say this data set has, see, subject number 516. Let's take this. This is a good example. No, this is not it. 9, 10. Let's take subject 23. Nope. So let's take this subject. This subject has treatment 1 and 2, right? The subject
Yes.
has 1 and 2. That means the subject has doxycycline and test. But when it comes to total, the subject is only counted as once. We won't count it as two different subjects because this is same subject. So here one count is reduced. So similarly like that, if we have
Sir,
17.
how reduced? I didn't got you.
See, these are two different treatments, but for the same subjects. It's for the subject 17. So in total, we are counting it as only once. We are not counting it as twice. When we are counting treatment 3, we are counting it as once. Here we are counting it as once, so it is twice. But when it comes to total, we are counting it only once because it is the same subject.
Yeah, but why total is 4?
That's treatment number. That's numeric number for total.
No, in the 25th, why it is 4?
For 25. Yeah, total treatment number is 4. Count is not 4. 1 is for doxycycline, 2 is for test, 3 is for reference, and 4 is for total.
Oh, okay. So it's like format we use
Yeah.
something. Okay.
How does it do freak? Based on these numbers, right? It looks for how many different number of 3s, how many different number of 2s, how many
Okay.
different number of 4s are there. Then we are doing transposing this data set. So 4, 4, 10. Here it's 14. So this is the first line. Now same way we'll be doing freak based on AE system organ class, and now we'll be doing freak for AE system organ class is nothing but AE body system organ class. AE decode is nothing but AE preferred term. So now we will be doing freak for these two variables to get these lines. system organ class and preferred term. We'll report each system organ class and their preferred terms, because for each system organ class there can be multiple decodes, right? If you see any example here like that, nervous system disorders. See, for nervous system disorders, here we have dizziness. For nervous system disorders, here we have dizziness. Here we have headache. So system organ class can be same, but its decode term will be different. System organ class is like to which system organ class the adverse event has occurred. And decode is what is the preferred term for that. What do we call that adverse event as? Headache. So now we'll be doing freaks for those. So here we are doing, that's why no dup key based on. Here also system organ class should be counted for one subject ID, one treatment only once. So system organ class should be counted for one subject ID, one treatment, and for one treatment only one system organ class should be counted. So we are deleting unwanted records. Which dataset are we using for AE? We are using again this dataset. We'll be using this dataset for counting total counts or system organ class or preferred term. Now system organ class. So totally we have around 47. If I want to see my duplicate records deleted, what do I use?
No do.
No dup keys to delete.
Yeah, yeah.
If I want to output my duplicate records, what option do I use?
Dupe out.
Good, Shravya. Dupe out. So these are the records that were deleted. So then I'm doing frequency based on system organ class and their treatments, and then I'm transposing the dataset. So cardiac disorders for doxycycline is 2, for test is 2. When it comes to total, it's 4. It's sorry, 3. Yeah, sorry, 3. Why is it not 4? Because if we go and see here in cardiac disorders, go to cardiac disorders. Let us select which dataset now. We need to look at SOC.
What is SOC?
System organ class. No, that's the dataset name I have created. Here I need to select ABOTSIS in cardiac disorders. If you see in the results, doxycycline has 2 and test has 2. So 1 is doxycycline, 2 is test, right? So here I have 2 for doxycycline, right? I have 2 of number ones. I mean, you can see this variable, that's easier. I have 2 doxycyclines, right? And I have 2 tests. But when it comes to total, why do I have only 3? Because these are all same subject. Here we are having doxygen and test for same subject. So this subject is only counted as once when it comes to total. That's why our counts were 2, 2 and 3. It was not 4 because same subject has doxygen and test. We are counting in the total only once this subject because we have only 3 different number of subjects right here. One is number 5, the other is number 12, the other is number 23. So that's the reason we are counting only 2, 2 and 3. Similarly, all these will be the same situation if you see nervous system
So we are
disorder.
counting how many totals are there and how many doxycyclines are there. We are not counting that doxycycline and test. We not gonna do total of that too in the total.
In the total, we'll be counting the number of subjects. How many
Yes.
number of subjects?
Okay.
How many number of distinct subjects? Exactly saying. So in the transpose data set,
I didn't understand that part. I didn't get it. Why we are doing 2 and 1 and 3?
what 2 and 1 and 3?
Like whatever you
We
were
all
doing
we are
before.
doing is we are counting the number of subjects for each treatment. That's all. Here, how many treatments do we have? Doxycycline test and total. Let us consider total as also one kind of treatment. So here we are having 3 different types of treatments. And for how many different number of subjects are these treatments coming? So doxycycline and doxycycline, we have it for
What
2
about
subjects.
reference? What about reference is not there?
Yeah, this subject doesn't have any adverse event for reference drug.
Okay.
That makes sense,
So
right? Because
yes,
reference is nothing but a
nothing.
placebo. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. But
that's the counts printed here. 2, 2 and 3. So here we have cardiac disorders for 2 patients has adverse events with doxycycline. Same different 2 patients have adverse event because of test. What was the total count? 3 because one of the patient is same in the both places. So
how do we know that?
that's what I'm
Okay.
showing here. If you see this, that's what Freak does, right? It counts the different number of subjects. And we are transposing this then. ID is TRTA, where is ID will be this one, variable will be this one. So I got my treatment names on the top and I got their counts here for each AE bodies for each system organ class. Then we'll be doing for preferred term. So now I need to use dup key for subject ID bots. So now I will be counting preferred terms based on subject ID and system organ class. For one subject ID, for one system organ class, for one treatment, I'll be counting decode only once. So I'll be doing no dup key here again like this. PT is nothing but preferred term. Initially, we did based on use subject ID. Let me keep variable names. Initially, we did based on use subject ID, AE system organ class, and treatment. Now we are doing AE based on use subject ID, AE system organ class, and AE decode. We are doing it based on these three variables and treatment variable. So we are using no dup key for use subject ID, body system organ class, AE decode, and treatment. PTF. Now we did it based on body system organ class decode. Previously, if you see SOC, we counted only based on body system organ class and treatment. Now, for this body system organ class and for this decode and their treatments. Now it is based on their body system organ class, their decodes and
Treatments.
treatments.
Treatment.
So now we'll transpose this. Doxycycline test, total and reference and their adverse event based on body system organ class and decode. Now what else do I need? I need to calculate these percentages. So how do we calculate these percentages? Small n by big N into 100. What will be my small n? Whatever I have here. What will be my big N? Total count of doxycycline, total count of test, and total count of total, and total count of reference. That will be my big N. Before that, I'm doing counts, I want to merge both these data sets. Why I want to merge is how can I merge both these data sets? How can I merge both these data sets?
By body
Eight
system.
bodices.
Yeah, by using
E
A
bodies.
body system.
I'm setting it. I think. Yeah, I'm setting it. I'll show you what I want to do. Here we have system organ class and preferred term, right? How do we have system organ class here? We should report the system organ class count here and preferred terms count here. And again SOC and their preferred terms. Let's take, these are the system organ class 2, 2, 3, and 2, right? Doxycycline test and total. SOC, PT, PT. Oh. Let's take it as doxycycline test, reference, and total. What is my count for doxycycline here? 2. What is for test? 2. What is for total? 3. So doxycycline 2. I have doxycycline 2, test 2, and total is 3. Reference count is missing here. Now, what are the preferred terms to this cardiac disorders? If I go here, what are the two preferred terms I have? One is palpation, the other is tachycardia. So here I'll be reporting palpation. Here I'll be reporting tachycardia. And how are their counts reported?
1.
1 1 1 1 1 and 2. 1 1 1 1 1 and 2. This is how I want to report, right? So for that, what do I need to do? Uh, where is this SOC coming from? From my system organ class frequency dataset. Where is this PT coming from? My preferred term dataset. So I have two datasets and counts of system organ class in separate dataset and counts of preferred term in separate dataset. So I need to set both all the records based on their system organ class. Let us run here till here. What is the new dataset? SOC PT. See, now I got their counts set like we discussed, right? I got cardiac disorders and I got there two. These are, let me go to decode, you'll understand. So palpitations and tachycardia are for cardiac disorders. So here we have cardiac disorders and we have their preferred terms here, palpation and tachycardia. So we need to align these things again now. So for that, what we'll be doing by AE bodies. Now they will be sorted
What is
according to,
SOCT?
that's the data set which we created in the above. Okay, now if you see this data set, these are sorted accordingly. This is cardiac disorders and these are two of their preferred term counts. 2, 2 and 3, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 and 2, which we had here. 2, 2 and 3, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 and 2. So all we are doing is we are setting the system organ class and their preferred terms as one group. So how many groups we have, like how many system organ classes we have? We have so many groups, right? This is our first group. This is our second group. This will be our third group. Nervous system disorders will be our fourth group. This will be our fifth group and this will be our sixth group. And what else we need to do? We need to do percentages and we also need to align them more. If A, then section is equal to 1. What will be A here? Whatever is coming from SOCT. What are coming from SOCT? Counts of system organ class, right? Body AE bodies. The records coming from this data set have a value called 1 now, in which variable I am creating a new variable called sect. If A, then sect plus 1. And if A, then label is equal to AE bodies. Let us run till here. See, this is the first system organ class, right? That has 1. So we are grouping it now. So this is my second group. This is my third group. This is my fourth group. I'm distinguishing it to different groups 4, 5, and 6. And what am I saying? If A, if system organ class, then create a new variable called label and assign the values present in the AE bodices. So I'm creating a new variable called label. This record is coming from SOC. 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 Then I'm assigning this value here. I'm assigning it to here. And here what I want to assign? I want to assign these values here. Did you understand what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to include, right now we have variables here for both system organ class here and preferred term here. Now I want to include both of them into single variable. Like let's say,
Sir, what is preferred term?
it's nothing but AED code. In our data set, we have AED code, right? There is multiple preferred terms for one system organ class. Headache is an preferred term.
Mhm.
Sir, what is that second last piece of code? I didn't got that one. Plus,
AE board disease and preferred term. Now I'm creating a new variable called label. So here I'm having 3 cardiac disorders. And the first line is count for the cardiac disorders and these two are for decode. So I have 3 cardiac disorders. 3 cardiac disorders. And I have palpations here and I have tachycardia here. Now what I want to do is I want to include like this cardiac disorders and I want to include under that palpitations and tachycardia into one variable. I want to include these two variables into one. Why? Because that is how we are representing in the shell, right? We need to report the system organ class and their related preferred terms. Again, system organ class and their related preferred terms.
sir, what if A then sect
Yeah,
plus 1 then?
that's what we are creating here. We are creating sect. So for the first one, it creates one. For the second system organ, it's like AE sequence, right? How are we creating sequence? It is something like that. If it is trying to find the
Okay, so it
sec,
is giving number. How
yes,
many sections are there?
yes.
Okay.
So what did we do? Else if B, then label is equal to decode. If A, I'm saying put A boxes. That means if A, then put A boxes. Let us consider this as A, this as B. If A, then put label is equal to A boxes. If B, then put label is equal to preferred term. If B, then label is equal to decode is nothing but preferred term, but I'm concatenating with some space before preferred term. Why I'm doing that? Because if you see in the shell, system organ class is aligned towards left side and preferred term has little space here, right? So I want to show that in my table. Now if I run,
Sir, but why is this sect plus 1? If
yeah,
A, then
for the first section it gives 1. Here it gives 1. It adds 1 plus 1 2 here. 2 plus 1 3 for these.
oh, okay.
3 plus
Okay.
1 4.
So we don't have to assign sect as a 0. It's automatically.
Yeah, that's what we did in base classes, right? We created AE sequence. We created some examples for what is that?
Sir,
Yeah,
if sect is not created, then also it can be escaped, right?
I didn't understand your question.
Say that variable, if it is not created, if this line is escaped, if A then sect plus 1, if it is escaped, then also there is no problem, right?
No, if I need to sort, if I need to order it, then how do I do then? I need that variable for my ordering at the end. That's a numeric variable I am creating for sorting. See, now if you see here, I got a new variable called label, and I don't need any more of these variables now. I can drop this. Hide. Hide. This is all I need in my table. I need this one. Actually, I don't need this one also. I need it for sorting. That's the reason I'm creating this. If I haven't created this one, when I sort it, cardiac disorders will be first and this one will be in the second place because it will be sorted as alphabetical order, right? So to avoid that, I want to create some numeric variable. So I got cardiac disorders and whatever preferred terms it has. I had ear disorders, their PTs. I had nervous system disorders, and
Why don't we want in alphabet order?
then preferred terms will be also mixed with system organ class, right? I need it one system organ
Oh,
class
okay.
and their preferred terms.
Okay, yeah.
So then I'm setting the other thing. Initially we created the head counts, the first line, right? This first line, number of subjects with any AEs. I need to set this one again now. So now I'm adding that one more line here. SOCPT1. I got that line here in the first place. 4, 4, 10, and 14, which we created initially. And here I want to give label as this one. Here label is missing, right? What label I want to print it? I want to print number of subjects with NEAEs. And I'm
How,
also,
how, how did we add the extra line?
we already created that initially. We are setting the two data sets now.
So how did we get the extra line for
We are setting this data set ESOCPT and AAT, which we already created initially. We already created this one initially, right? So
okay,
we are setting that data set and this previous data set, this one. So total is
yeah,
16, it will be then 17.
17.
It will be then
Yeah.
17.
You just showed that you created one extra line on top, blank line,
Yeah,
right? How
that's,
did you?
no, I haven't created that. We need to fill in there
Oh,
because here we have label variable, here we don't have label variable. Automatically it will be a blank value there.
okay, okay, okay.
Now we are doing different counts. We are creating for,
These A and B are global variable, right?
yes, we
So
are,
we can use
mhm.
anywhere. Okay, after that.
So we are creating total number of different counts from ADSL. So then it will be 24, right?
Yeah.
So I'll be using that count here, and here I'll be creating where treatment not equals to missing. That means I'm doing O1AN. What is O1AN in ADSL?
Treatment number.
Yeah, it's
Treatment
first
number.
treatment.
Yeah.
I'm doing counts for other treatments too. I'm doing counts for A and B. If I see now, I got 24 and 22 because total will be 24, right? Because
Yeah.
total number of patients is 24. Total number of patients got doxycycline is 24 because each patient got doxycycline. But when it comes to test and reference, there are only 22 patients because two patients has been withdrawn from the study. So here and
Yeah.
here it will be 22, here and here it will be 24. That's why I'm creating only two different counts, 24 and 22.
Okay.
I'll be using that in my calculations now. For call A, what is my call A? If I go to my SOCPT1, sorry, I'm using variable called doxygen. I'm creating new variable called collier. For that I'm using, let me mute everyone. Here I'm saying take doxygen variable, trim off left of that, that means convert into character, and then divide doxygen by ampersand a. What is ampersand a? Doxygen is 24, right? So divide it by 24 into 100, then I will get percentage, and I'm concatenating with percentage. So what do I have for doxygen? 4 2 1 1, something like that, right? So for doxygen, what do I have? 4 2 1 1, something like this. So what am I saying? I'm converting to character. For that, first I'm using put of my variable called doxygen. I'm using some XXX format. And then what am I doing? I'm saying concatenate. Let's say this is 4, right? Then this comes like this. With that 4, what am I saying? 4 by, which is nothing but small n by big N into 100. Concatenate with percent. So small n here is 4. What is my big N? 24 into 100. How am I getting this 24? I have created a macro variable called ampersand a. So doxygen, my variable name, ampersand is 24 into 100, and I'm giving some format because I need only for the percentage, I need only one format for my percentage. So I'm using one format and concatenating with percentage and bracket. Similarly, I'm doing it for test variable. I'm doing it for reference variable. I'm doing it for total variable. If it is missing, what should I do then? If it is missing, what should I do? So first time else, if doxygen is equal to missing, then make it as 0. If it is missing, make it as 0. Let's see now what happens. Let's run it till here. Final, where is my final? So these are my initial variables I have. Now I created 4 more variables called call A for doxygen, call B for test, call C for reference, call D for total.
Total.
First I am doing for not equals to 1, and for equal to missing 1 I am applying 0. And when label is missing, I am applying label as number of subjects with any A's. If I go here, I got my label here because previously label was missing. I got my label here, and I got my percentages here. Variables and their percentages concatenated. If it is missing, I made it as 0. Similarly, I'm using date macro to get date, version macro, version as final. This is as default ampersand sysvar, which prints my system version, which is 9.3. And now I'm using my proc report. What titles do I have? Treatment emergent. This is the title I have. Okay. What footnotes do I have? I have 1, 2, and 3, 4 footnotes. I have footnote 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm creating my title, treatment emergent adverse events, and I'm creating my footnote 1, footnote 2, footnote 3, and footnote 4. And if you see footnote 4, ampersand sysvar prints system version, now prints current date and time because we have created ampersand now here. And we also created small macro variable called percent let version final. So it prints the version of SAS. And where is it printing? In this path. Let us give a path here. Let us paste it on desktop for now. That is, I want to print it as AESOCPT. My table is system organ class preferred term table. I'm using no windows, missing headline, head skip. It's the same report which we used last time. For first column, I need to use label as system organ class. For second column, I need to use label as docs.json. For third one, I need to use as test. Here reference, here total. What are the two macro variables we have created? Ampersand A and ampersand B. So if I see those, I have 24 and 22.
Ampersand B.
So here docs.json and total is ampersand A. Test and reference will be ampersand B, because ampersand A is 24, B is 22, right? So similarly, we'll apply those here. I'm applying that label docs.json ampersand A. Test ampersand B. Reference is also ampersand B because only 22 patients, and total is 24 ampersand A. Why am you using this asterisk? That is the one I use delimiter for my split. And I'm using compute because I want to make some space after each system organ class so that it looks clear. Now let me run this report and see how it works. See, now I got my table, system organ class. I created, what does compute do? Compute creates a blank line. This is the blank line that is created after each different category. Yeah, blank line. So I got my system organ class cardiac disorders and their two preferred terms. We have used space, but that has not printed because we need to use more things, because here we concatenated with space, right? To show, where is that? Yeah, here. We
Maybe
concat.
Morris.
Yeah, because this is temporary version of software and we need to use more options for that to get that space thing. But in companies, you have standard macros, so you don't need to worry. Yeah, so we got so now if you see how many number of subjects with different AEs, their counts and their head counts here, small n by big N, and we got system organ class ear labyrinth disorders and their preferred terms, muscle system disorders and their preferred term, nervous system disorders and their preferred term, and their footnotes. The counts will be same even if I open real-time table. See, here we got aligned it as spaces, right? Here we got space here initially. And if you see counts will be same 14, 13, 2, 1. 14, 13, 2 and 1, 58.3, 12.5, 8.3, 58.3, 12.5, and 8.3. The counts were matching. We don't need to worry about cosmetic things. There will be a standard template to delete those lines. There will be a standard macro template that will be used. Each company follow different templates. Some companies want to print lines like this. Some companies don't want these boxes. They want to delete those boxes. So they have a standard template. Once you call that template, for your final data set, your values will be printed into that template. So this box is called standard template. I mean, let's say this might be a standard template for our table according to this company. But some companies also create lines for each values. It depends from company to company how they report the tables. That's all, guys. So what we are doing here, we are doing counts. For what we are doing counts, we are doing counts for total number of subjects with different adverse events and with different treatments. And then we are doing it based on system organ class and their preferred terms. Here, what we have to remember is we are doing count only once for one subject. It can be multiple treatments. We are counting it treatment wise, but when it comes to total, we are counting it only once. Here, why we have 2 and 2 and why we have only 3 here? Because some subject has, I mean, same subject has adverse event at doxycycline and test. That is the reason. So when we are doing total, we are doing it only for different number of subjects. The count is for different number of subjects.
So, sir, basically, like, since they are taking the doxycycline every day and test once, so that's the reason, like, with both they are having some adverse event. That's why we are not counting. We are just counting one.
No, a patient can have adverse, yes, because let's say on each day doxycycline is given, right?
Yeah.
And let's say on day 13 and 18, doxycycline is given. Apart from doxycycline, what else is
There is
given? Test and
test
reference is given.
Yeah.
So if an
mm,
adverse event is occurred on day 13 or 18, we don't know
because
because
of
of
what
what the adverse event has
happened.
occurred. It can be
Okay.
occurred because of test or doxycycline, or it can be
Mm.
occurred because of,
Doxycycline on reference.
Reference.
yes, that's why we are having two adverse events. But when we are counting, same patient has adverse event twice on day 13. So we are
Adverse
counting,
event twice means
I
two
mean,
kind of
for,
adverse.
yeah, for two treatments, but we are not sure for which treatment it is. So we are
Okay.
counting it as only once when we are reporting.
Okay. If it's same date and they are reporting two adverse event, so we will just count one, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And if you want to go specifically with that, you can see in dataset also. Where do we go? SOCF. Okay, we'll go here first. Where did we find that issue for cardiac disorders? Okay. Then we'll go for SOC and cardiac disorders, where AI bots is in cardiac disorders. Okay. Now
So
we'll,
basically in this table we are not using format. We are making one extra column just with our condition, right?
yes. Now we'll hide the unwanted variables. Not been needing this. From here to, okay. See, patient 23. What is this cardiac disorders, right? So we have two, but in the total we have three. That means we have two doxycycline and two tests. We have two doxycyclines, good. We have two tests. But here,
So how could be two tests? It would be just one test, right? How could be two tests?
yeah, because these are different subject IDs,
No, but
different patients.
okay. Oh, that's the total we are getting. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
See here, we are counting this only once because we are counting this patient has adverse event because of test on day 13. On the same day, he might be given doxycycline also, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to total, we are counting it as only once.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how would we know that because of it's happening same date? Like, are we capturing somewhere the date, like to make sure that it's the same date?
Yeah, because you have adverse event start date that day, and we have to calculate it from reference start date. Adverse event start date minus reference start date gives the day,
Okay.
what day it is.
Okay.